Good evening, I am Nasa Kingu. Just a reminder, you can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBConline, and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages at TBConline. President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan has reaffirmed the government's commitment to make Tanzania self-sufficient in food and a hub for Africa's agriculture and food security. President Samia made the remark during the launch of Food System Forum 2023 at the State House in Dar es Salaam, attended by various local and international leaders.
The government is determined to make sure that we can sustain ourselves in food supply, but also to make sure Tanzania becomes a food hub for Africa. Our main objective is to make sure that the agricultural sector contributes by 30% on our national income by 2030 through our 1030 agenda regarding agribusiness. Furthermore, we aim at making sure Tanzania not only can sustain itself, but it can also feed her neighboring countries and Africa as a whole.
Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA President Agnes Kalibata says she looks forward to seeing Tanzania becoming part of Feeding Africa.
Leader and taking us forward. So, Your Excellency, coming back to Tanzania here as the Africa Green Revolution Forum, now the Africa Food Systems Forum, is a huge, huge leap forward. And we expect that this is going to define a new way of doing business in agriculture, that this is going to define a new way of engaging the private sector in agriculture. We look forward to how Tanzania could be part of Feeding Africa. We are at the nexus of, and at we are sitting at a time which is extremely important for all of us. Food security has become so much more important.
On his part, the former Ethiopian Prime Minister and AGR Board Chairman Haile Mariam Desalegn clarifies more on the upcoming Africa's Food Systems Forum, which this year will be hosted by Tanzania from 5th to 9th September 2023, becoming the first country to host the summit since its rebranding.
Which broadens our scope of engagements and partnerships to address all aspects of agri-food systems transformation. The theme of this year's forum, Recover, Regenerate and Act, Africa's Solutions to Food Systems Transformation, is anchored around building back better food systems and food sovereignty for our continent.
Today is 2 years since the country lost its incumbent president, John Pombe Magufuli. It was the first time the country lost a president in office. Here is Faithan Gaga with more details about the day.
In his message on Twitter, President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan says it is 2 years since the death of the fifth-term president, and she prays that his soul continues to rest in eternal peace. She furthermore asks the Almighty God to continue giving strength to his family members. President Samia says her government will continue to honor the late Magufuli by continuing working on all projects and other good things he initiated. A mass has been held in Chato, Geita region. Defense Minister Innocent Bashungwa represented President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan at the commemoration and has laid a wreath at the grave of the late Magufuli. The mass for the late Magufuli was held at the St. John Maria Musei and was led by Bishop Severin Niwemugizi of Rulenge Ngara Catholic Diocese. Other bishops who attended the mass are the retired Archbishop of Dar es Salaam, Cardinal Polycarp Pengo, and Bishop Flavian Kasala of Geita Catholic Diocese. Others who attended were Janet Magufuli, the widow of the late President John Magufuli, the Geita Regional Commissioner Martini Shigela, CCM Chairman, Geita Region, Nicholas Kasendamila, member of NEC CCM Zanzibar, Mwanaenzi Suluhu Hassan, and other leaders at the regional and district level.
From September 1961 to March 2020, over 3,200 Peace Corps volunteers have served in Tanzania, working in education, agriculture, and health sectors to address critical development priorities while promoting world peace and friendship. This year, American Peace Corps volunteers returned to Tanzania, and that follows an absence of nearly 3 years due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 in March 2020. Following the ever-increasing emphasis by the government on the area of agriculture, I earlier spoke with a U.S. Peace Corps country director in Tanzania, Stephanie Joseph. And first, I asked her about volunteers' remarkable contribution to agriculture in Tanzania.
Agriculture, whether it's Tanzania or the U.S., doesn't tend to be a field that many young people are interested in. And I think that's changing as we deal with climate change and initiatives that are focused on saving our environment and our planet. And so what we can learn and what they can learn from youth in the U.S. who come here is really how to use the creativity, the innovation of technology to drive agribusiness. And so I think one of the roles that Peace Corps can play is capturing young people in rural areas and talking about how agriculture can be leveraged for livelihood, for business opportunities, and how they can use the digital platform to learn about it, to talk about it, to do it, to expand it and promote it.
And after the service, after volunteering for 2 years, what happens thereafter? I understand they learn Swahili. They connect very well at the grassroots level with the locals. Do you have any other program to make whatever that they have started sustainable?
There are no projects that are done that are not community prioritized, community included, and community driven. And so many of the projects that are done in that collaboration are sustained by communities. When volunteers leave, many of them join the Friends of Tanzania, which is a group of returned Peace Corps volunteers, and they continue to do public service projects. Anything from funding girls going to school to contributing to building libraries or other community-led requests. So the Friends of Tanzania is still active, still involved, and many of the volunteers return to Tanzania to visit their village families, their host mothers, their host sisters and brothers, and they work with their communities on, again, projects and initiatives that are community driven. As soon as travel opened, we had quite a few volunteers who left, returned to visit their families.
Here in Tanzania, as on the area of education, for example, there must be a lot of schools that do have great demand of teachers, especially science teachers, and they would love to get those volunteers on board. How do you actually get to host them? Which area and which school? What is the procedure? And also, how much of knowledge and specialization do each individual volunteer do have before they come here to volunteer?
They specifically look for volunteers who are, 1, committed to public service, 2, have the qualifications, and 3, who are properly vetted. So we do security checks, medical checks, and we really are bringing in the most qualified. Specific to Tanzania, we worked closely with the Ministry of Education, who had specific criteria for physics teachers, chemistry teachers, and their transcripts were reviewed, their qualifications vetted. We select the locations, the schools, and the sites where volunteers live collaboratively. We work with the Ministry of Education. We identify higher need areas, and we also work with communities that can provide housing. So again, Peace Corps comes with a small budget, and so our communities also have to be able to contribute. And so where there are schools that have housing and where the Ministry of Education and the communities have a need is where we definitely try to go. We can't go to every location that has a need, but we definitely try to prioritize based on input from the ministry and our counterparts and the capacity of the community to actually host a volunteer with housing. Peace Corps volunteers come. Sometimes we're experts. For example, this group of volunteers has mechanical engineers, aeronautical engineers, biomedical engineers, applied mathematician with a law degree. We have trained public health specialists. We have physics experts. And so we come with a skill set, but we don't have the only skill set. The villages where Peace Corps volunteers live, those communities have their own expertise and skill set. And so Peace Corps is about that knowledge sharing for change. And so when I think about Peace Corps, it is transformative, not just for the American who comes here, but also for the community where they live. We inspire the next generation of leaders, of thought leaders, the next generation of scholars, of innovators, of scientists, of doctors, of teachers. And if you look at the history of Peace Corps, I guarantee you that where every volunteer served, there's been a positive impact.
That was the country director for U.S. Peace Corps speaking with me earlier. Resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, Christine Musisi, calls on women to apply digital technology in their businesses to reach international markets. She made the remark during Women in Management Africa Summit for Digital Economy held here in Dar es Salaam, together with a guest of honor, John Ulanga, who is the country director of Trademark East Africa. They both insist that there are huge business opportunities in digital technology which women can take advantage of to sell their products and increase their income.
We need to also address the negative impacts of new technologies and their systems and invest in technology and innovations that reduce women's drudgery, increase productivity, and give them a voice. We need to use technology to love people, but do not love technology too much that you hurt yourself and hurt others. Let's love ourselves, especially our sanity, so we can relate with others in a way that is not defined by a love deficit for ourselves, because hurting people hurt people. Sometimes we use social media to pick battles that are not ours, and we hurt ourselves and everybody else in the process.
When we embrace women in leadership positions, we can create a more equal, a more sustainable future for our continent. Women have the skills, and it has been proven, have the knowledge, it has been proven, have the experience to drive our economies. But for this to happen, we need to break those barriers. We need to prevent women, that barriers that prevent women from reaching their full potential. You cannot reach your final destination unless your final destination is a short haul. But if your final destination is a long haul, find a mentor.
You can inspire others with your words and deeds and show the world and true empowerment means. So rise up, dear women. Take the lead for the world. And is desperate need of your strength, your courage, your light, to guide us through the darkest night. Together, we can make a difference and create a world of true excellence where everyone, every woman can reach her potential, and we can all live in a world that is equitable.
The one-day Women Digital Technology event is hosted by Women in Management Africa, WIMA, and has been attended by various chief executive officers and business women across the continent. The government expects to start the construction of a large passenger building as well as a large control tower at Tabora Airport to match the ever-increasing in passengers as well as the current demands. The remark was made by the Tabora Regional Aviation Manager Daniel Nyimbo while clarifying about government strategy to strengthen aviation sector to facilitate growth of investment and business. Here's the report prepared by Aminim Geni, read to you by Faidan Gaga.
Huge investments to increase passenger and cargo planes goes hand in hand with the improvement of airports in this country. Here is the flight control tower at Tabora Airport, where the government is about to make major renovations.
Kwa kipindi hiki ambapo Mama Samia yupo ni kwamba kuna
Currently, there has been some improvements of the Tabora Airport, whereby passengers building will be built. And in that building, a control tower will be built. And the tower will enable the controller to perform his work well.
Uboreshaji tutapata mnara wa kuongozea ndege ambao utakuwa na nafasi nzuri.
Nyimbo adds that the improvements to be made at the Tabora airport will greatly help to increase the overall region's income.
Ukiangalia Tabora imezungukwa na maeneo ya kiutalii.
Tabora is surrounded by touristic attractions, places like Ugala and various national parks. Many airplanes come to these farms. Therefore, these improvements will boost the economy.
Cha tumbaku ambacho hicho kilimo kimekuwa ni maarufu sana kwa mkoa huu.
The government's investments in the aircraft industry and the purchase of aircrafts goes hand in hand with the training of aviation industry experts inside and outside the country. Busara Kabuje is an air traffic controller at the Tabora airport.
Tunashukuru kwa sababu tumepewa nafasi na ni nafasi ambayo sio ya upendeleo kwamba.
We are so grateful for the opportunity, an opportunity that doesn't discriminate. Everyone had the same chance of going for these studies. I am grateful. Just a few days ago, I was attending further training so that I can perform work better.
The government is currently carrying out major airport renovations to ensure that the various investments become fruitful.
The government, through the Investment Center TIC, is contented with the speed of construction of industrial projects in the coastal zone and promises to work on the challenges facing some of the investors. On the first day of the visit to the industrial projects, TAC board members have visited 3 industrial projects, including Sinoturn Industrial Park Limited, Kamaka Industrial Park, and Kairuki Pharmaceutical Factory. Here is a report prepared by Damien Mnyikwa, read by Father Ngaga.
One of the projects visited in the Sinoturn Industrial Park Limited is the project located in the Kuala Kibaha area. With a size of 2,500 acres, this project is expected to have more than 200 factories, and once it is completed, it will provide more than 100,000 jobs.
Our Sinoturn Industrial Park, total land is 2,500 acres. It makes 5 phases, and each phase will take 1 year to be done, to be developing done. And the first phase, 250 acres. Right now, 500 acres right now. You see the road is constructing well, and we're expecting March, August this year, all the road will becoming concrete road.
Other projects include the Kairuki Pharmaceutical Factory, which has already started production, as well as the Kamaka Industrial Project, which is at the first stage of implementation, expecting to have more than 200 factories, community services, and business areas.
To our project, we thank the government for excellent support, but still there are some challenges which we really need close assistance from the government, especially the issue of electricity and water, because we have 223 industry here, 203 industry, and if you consider all these industries, the issue of fire, for example, is very, very important to be taken into account.
After the visit, the members of the board say they are contented with the execution of these projects, promising to find solutions to the pressing challenges facing some of the investors.
My main message to the potential investors who are planning to come to Tanzania is that we would like to advise them to come through Tanzania Investment Center, because Tanzania Investment Center is a government institution and it is responsible to make sure that we assist all potential investors who are showing interest to invest into different sectors to obtain various permits, approvals, and licenses.
The visit of the members of the TIC board is part of TIC's strategy to visit investors in their areas and provide them with solutions to their challenges.
From trade and investment, now we move to tourism sector. In the world of social media here in Tanzania, Bob Jr., the famous lion, is probably the most trending thing. A question remains to many of his fans is what will be the future of his territory. In a report prepared by Margaret Getty, we are joined by Dula Fadi, all the way from Serengeti, who will be guiding us on the future of the great BJ's territory.
On a beautiful sunrise over Serengeti, what looked like a fight of the century occurred in the Namiri Plains. 3 against 1 gigantic lion is what brought down the famous Bob Jr.
All right, everybody, so people are asking, like, why should male lions or why do male lions kill each other? Now, this is the reason. Look at this. In front of us, this is one of the males that are involved in the killing of the famous BJ. And it's necessary for them. They have to do this. They have to kill the dominant male so that they can take over the territory. And as you can see, for those who have been following up, I'd presented this walk before and I'd mentioned that this was previously his preferred space. This was his sitting room. But as you can see, the new guys, the new boys are the ones who have taken over, and now they're calling it home. So another interesting thing that people are going to be wondering is, with the 7 males within the territory, who's going to be the king? Who's going to be in charge of all the 7 males? Again, it's too early to say that, but here's the truth. About lions, they so much respect each other, and having such a big community, we definitely need a hierarchy. There's obviously going to be a definite hierarchy within themselves, which helps them to settle disputes. So for now, we yet don't know. But looking at like a male like this, who is on top of that, on that rock right now, and look at him, he's actually posing like the guy in charge. So probably, who knows, he's going to be the new BJ in the area.
It is no doubt that BJ has been the internet sensation for the whole week. Some have paid their tribute to his death, and some even had their body painted a tattoo in the loving memory of Bob Jr. Margaret Getty, TBC.
Wonders of nature. That item concludes local news tonight. International news is up next. And here is international news with Ahmed Salem.
President Lazarus Chakwera of Malawi has appealed to the international community to send urgent help to the southern African nation, which has been ravaged by storms that have killed more than 300 people and displaced hundreds of thousands more. President Chakwera told Al Jazeera from outside a camp in the capital Blantyre, and one of the areas hardest hit, that they need helicopters now so that they can airlift some foodstuffs and other equipment. Tropical cyclone Freddy hit the coast of southern Africa for a second time over the weekend, causing devastations in Malawi and its neighbor Mozambique. At least 326 people have been confirmed dead in Malawi, bringing the overall number of fatalities across the region to more than 400 since February. Chakwera, who declared 14 days of mourning and pledged $1.5 million in assistance, has now called for more aid, saying the country's capacity to provide relief is limited. Chakwera said recovering from such a storm cannot happen without international help. He added that what has happened to them can happen to anyone, anywhere. In South Africa, police have said that the planned opposition process on Monday are not a mere shutdown, but an attempt to overthrow the government. The opposition party, Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, is organizing nationwide marches to protest against the country's power crisis, and has called on President Cyril Ramaphosa to resign. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Mwalala Nkwanazi said on Friday while briefing media on security plans to deal with threats posed by the protests, said that is an attempt to overthrow the government. He added that the magnitude of threats differs from other planned shutdowns, and that is why they have to be extra vigilant. He also said police have received no notices of any planned gatherings in the province, adding that over 18,000 security officers will be deployed during the march.
That was international news. Sports news is up next. And here is sports news with the man himself, Mario Cheto.
Simba Sports Club head coach Roberto Robertinho says they're highly prepared to beat Horoya from Guinea in tomorrow's game at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium and the cruise to quarterfinals of CAF Champions League. Head coach Robertinho believes that the level of preparation they have, winning 3 points, is the only result they will deserve in that decisive game against Horoya.
Having 90 minutes for winning one game, but you need to use intelligence, our brand, good strategy, give maximum inside the pitch, because football cannot play just with the ball. It's most important to start the game with a good balance. Okay, good balance for pressing without the ball, with the ball, have freedom, okay, for looking for space, for looking for reduced space, good compactness inside the pitch between 3 lines. It's very, very important. The most important, tomorrow, I have 2 or 3 options for starting game.
Simba lost 1-0 in the first encounter, and they want sweet revenge by beating their opponents and collect all 3 points, which will see them sailing into quarterfinals of the CAF Champions League. The Vice President of Tennis Association of Tanzania, Rajabu Bori, says while the Junior Tennis Series ended at Gymkhana Tennis Court in Dar es Salaam has been highly competitive, while calling on the government and other stakeholders to invest more in the game. Speaking with the TBC News reporter, Vice President reveals that youth has shown great talents and ambitions to do better in future.
If we had all the teams, every sports department gathering together and putting what next for Tanzania, I think we will achieve our goals.
Youth tennis players from 9 countries around the world participated in the tournament that gearing up for the World Cup Tennis Tournament, which will be held in Bulgaria in June. Malio Cheto, TBC News.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Nasa Kingo, and on behalf of the whole team, we wish you a beautiful night and a beautiful weekend.